Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody out there is doing great. I hope you guys are having a great morning. My name is Chelsea Mann. I'm a signature artist with the Wella company, and today we're talking about Magma. I was just in the middle of doing some foils, so I'm going to continue on and keep talking here, but we're going to wait for a couple more people to join. I'm pretty excited to bring this to you today, guys. I'm going to adjust here a little bit because I don't know if you guys have seen this on TikTok or any of those other fun places you might see them, but this is what I'm using right now. This is our Magma 0-stroke 6.5 Lightener, and I'm using it on this mannequin right now. When we're going to have, by the time I'm done, we're going to have pink balayage highlights in one step through artificially colored hair, guys. This product is amazing. If you've never used it before, I encourage you to head over to Modern Beauty Supplies and grab some. It's really, really cool. So, for those of you that are just joining us, my name is Chelsea Mann. I'm a signature artist with the Wella company, and today we're talking about Magma. First of all, I want to say thank you for joining me. Second of all, I definitely want to say thank you to Modern Beauty Supplies for having us. I don't know if you guys have been down to Modern lately, or what your plans are, but if you haven't, head down to Modern and grab some Magma. It's a really, really great product, and they're a really, really great place to hang out. Really fun people work there. I love going down to the Modern store and grabbing stuff and really just hanging out and getting nerdy with the people that work there. So, so let's talk a little bit about Magma, guys. So Magma is part of our Blondor family. So for those of you that may not know, did you guys see that catch? Thank you. For those of you that may not know, our Blondor family is our family of lighteners. Okay, so our family of persulfate-based lighteners that can, lighten through artificially colored hair or virgin hair if you happen to have that sort of unicorn in your chair. Now, when we talk about lighteners, guys, primarily in Wella, we're talking about Blondor. We're talking about our multi-blonde lightener or our newest baby, our Wellaplex, which I have over there, but I can't reach right now. I'll show you in a second. So hopefully you guys have used our Blondorplex. Our Blondorplex is our core multi-blonde lightener with our Wellaplex technology built right in. It's really, really cool. It's a one-step sort of situation, so you don't have to worry too much about it. You don't have to worry about putting your Wellaplex number 1 in. You can use your number 2 at the sink and you're good to go, okay? So just so you guys can see, I have my Instagram handle up on the screen there. I'm going to take it down. I'll put it back up afterwards. But if you guys want to head over to my Instagram, we can chat more about Magma there. We can talk more about anything you want. Feel free to message me. But this is the Blondorplex that I was just talking about, guys. Okay, so this is our multi-blonde lightener with our Wellaplex technology built right in. It's a really, really nice lightener, really beautiful to work with, up to 7 levels of lift, and a nice sort of creamy consistency to work with, and a really great thing to use for all of your all-around sort of lightening needs, right? Now, I just wanted to address this sort of levels of lift situation. I think sometimes people get stuck on this idea of levels of lift, that a superior lightener can claim higher levels of lift, and that's not necessarily the case, okay? I encourage you guys to use your level finder and understand that, if you have lighteners that claim a bajillion levels of lift, is it realistic that you're going to start with hair like this and finish cleanly over here in one application? Probably not. And I'll show you guys an example of this if you don't mind me stepping out. Now, I am not going to tell you which is which, okay, so don't ask me. But these are swatches that I did on some human hair. This is hair that I cut off of a client of mine. If you guys head over to my Instagram at chelsea.wella, you can see me creating this swatch out of my client's hair. So I took this ponytail and divided it into 3. One of these is Wella. One of these is Wella Blondorplex, okay? Another one is a major competitor that claims up to 9 levels of lift. And another one is another major competitor that claims, strong levels of lift as well. Now, I'm sure you guys can see sort of the same thing that I see here. What I did, this client that I cut these off of has natural level 2 hair, like really, really dark hair, okay? I lightened the hair once, and giving me this result, and then I lightened it again, giving me this result, okay? My point with these swatches, guys, wasn't to see which one, or to see which one was going to be coolest, or which one was going to be the least damaging. I just wanted to prove my own theory that they were all going to lift the same, and they did, okay? There's a little bit of sort of variation that you could probably, there's a little bit of variation in here, and a little bit of variation here, that you could probably chalk up to just application or saturation, those sorts of things, okay? So just try to keep an open mind about that. But these are 3 major lighteners, one of which is Blondor that we just talked about. These are 3 major lighteners made by big companies, and they all kind of lift the same, right? So I encourage you, my point in showing you guys this is that I encourage you guys to choose your lighteners, choose the lightener that you love based on its consistency and its predictability, its ease of use, those sorts of things. And for me, that's Blondor. I really love that Blondor gives me sort of a creamy consistency. I can paint with it, I can foil with it, I can do global lightning, I can do all kinds of fun stuff with it. To me, that's a more valid way to choose your lightener rather than just being like, oh, this one claims 1 million levels of lift, I'm gonna grab that. Because really, my swatch here can show you that on the darkest hair, you're still gonna have to apply it more than once. Do you know what I mean? So pick a lightener that, really cares for the hair and is consistent in the way that it lifts, okay? Another lightener that I choose in that way is Magma. And you guys are going to see, if you guys stick with me to the end, I'm going to talk about Magma probably for the next 25 to 30 minutes. And at the end, I'm going to take one of these foils out and blow dry it and show you guys the finish on this stroke 6.5, okay? So when I talk about Blondor, guys, I'm talking about the house, the family of lighteners that Wella has, including Multi-Blonde, Blondor Plex, our Soft Blonde, which is our cream lightener, our Extra Cool Blonde that cools as you lift, our Free Lights lightener, that is our clay-based painting lightener, and then our Magma, which is what I'm using today. So Magma is this guy. This is what the packaging looks like. This is the stroke 6.5, okay, which is a dominant violet, secondary red violet, which gives it a brighter pink, okay? And yeah, this is what the packaging looks like. Inside, it's a powder. So it's a pink colored powder. Just like any other lightener, you mix it with your developer. Mixing ratio on this, guys, is 1 to 1.5. 1 part powder to 1.5 parts developer. So in my bowl over here, I've got 30 grams of powder, and then I've got 45 grams of 10 ball, okay? Now, the mannequin that I'm working on today, guys, this is a mannequin that I colored for another live that I did for something else. And she had been balayaged before. So she's already been lightened, and then I pre-pigmented her and colored her dark again, and then I glossed her so she would be nice and shiny for my live. So this is a really great mannequin, I think, to use for this because it really shows us what Magma is capable of, right? So when we think of products like Magma that lift and tone in one step, I think it's easy for us to think, oh, this is a color, like a high lifting color. And I really want to make sure that you guys understand that Magma is a lightener. It belongs in our Blondor family. It's not a color that lifts color, right? We're not reinventing the wheel here. Magma is a lightener that tones at the same time, okay? And the reason I'm using the pink one today is because it's all over TikTok, okay? I'll get you guys in the comments. Have any of you guys seen the videos of the pink lightener on TikTok? I think there might be a bit of a delay, so maybe I won't wait for you guys in comments, but there are videos on TikTok of people using the stroke 6.5 lightener. And it's really, really great. And I think at Wella, we saw these videos go up and we were like, oh my God, people are using this and it's so great. And I think it's just something that was in our portfolio that we were, I think we maybe took it for granted a little bit, to be completely honest with you, because it is a really, really great product. So what I'm doing with it right now, guys, is I just decided to highlight some of this mannequin so you guys can really see the performance on this Magma. Okay, so you guys can see it on my brush there. It is a very creamy consistency when it's mixed properly. I like to have it on my brush and unload it onto my section. I hope you guys can see there. Unload it onto my section, and then I like to use this is a Free Lights brush from Wella, okay? This is our free painting brush, is nice angle there that allows you to paint and blend. Okay, so I'm gonna sort of blend up into I'm not coloring my backcombing per se, but I am blending sort of into it, okay? I also like to make sure I'm angling my blending up towards the face, okay? So that's just a little bit of an application pro tip there, okay? So, first thing with Magma, guys, like I said, I want you guys to make sure that you're positioning Magma as a lightener that also has the ability to tone the hair at the same time, okay? It's not a high lift color. It's a lightener all day, okay? Now, the reason that this is important, there we go. The reason that this is important to this idea that Magma is a lightener, it's not a color, is because people, if they don't understand that, they tend to go crazy with their developer. So what I mean by that is if you're thinking of Magma as a color that lifts really well, you're going to use a higher developer with it to get it where you want it. But Magma is a lightener, so that means that you don't need that strong of a developer. So if you were using a regular lightener to take, you know, artificially colored level 5 hair like this, take it to a 7 so you could deposit a beautiful pink tone. If you were doing that with a regular lightener, you wouldn't use 30 vol, right? You would probably use 10. You only need to jump a couple of levels, right? And that's what I'm using right now. This is Magma Stroke 6.5, 1 to 1.5 with 10 vol, okay? Just doing a little quick, you know, around the face balayage here, okay? And at the end, I'm going to take one of the bottom foils out and show you guys the color, okay? So let's talk a little bit more about Magma. Now, if you consult your Wella company swatch book, this is what your Magma swatch looks like. Now, I'm going to cover this one because we don't have it anymore. But this is what your Magma swatch page looks like, okay? So we've got our reds and pinks over here, and then we've got all of these blonde shades. So since I'm using the pink today, let's talk about that first, okay? So in our reds, we've got our stroke 4.4, and we've got our stroke 6.5. This is the one here that I'm using today, okay? Now, I'll tell you guys, I don't like to teach with this swatch page because these little sort of sliding scales tell you, oh, if you use it with a 6 vol, you'll end up like this. If you use it with a 40 vol, you'll end up like this. First of all, please don't use 40 vol with lightener. Second of all, it really is dependent on where you start with the hair, like what hair you're putting it on, just like any other formulation, right? So I don't really like to teach with this sort of scale. I like to use the numbers. So stroke 4.4 is our red lightener, okay? It's a red pigmented lightener. This one is stroke 4.4 mixed with our clear, so diluted, and then just our straight stroke 4.4. Then our stroke 6.5 is our pink. So 6 is violet, 5 is red violet, so it's a pink lightener. Then we've got 07 plus, which is our sort of sandy warm brown color. 7.3 is a caramel. 1.7 is an ash. 1 is ash, 7 is warm brown, so it's sort of a beige. Then we've got 3.6, which is a gold violet, which will also be sort of a champagne-y kind of color. Then 3.9, which is also going to be sort of a champagne beige. And then 8.9, which is probably our most popular in the blonde shades. 8 is blue, 9 is cendré, which is part violet and part gray. Okay, so it's sort of a soft violet, right? So I will tell you guys that these ones are the cool ones. These ones are the ones when I talk about Magma, people are always like, oh, tell us about the pink lightener or tell us about the red lightener. But I'll tell you guys, I use more of this stroke 8.9 shade than anything else. And I'll tell you why. Magma is a lightener, like I said, all day, right? You can use it for many different things, including free painting. Okay, so if you're somebody like me who does a lot of lived-in hair, does a lot of painted hair, does a lot of natural-looking, believable hair, Magma's a really great choice for you because you can mix and match these, first of all, to make a bunch of different colors, but you can also paint with these and create a multi-tonal blonde in one step. Okay, so years ago, it used to be that if somebody with artificially colored hair, like my mannequin here, asked me for a multi-tonal blonde, I would be mixing up different bowls of multi-blonde lightener with different levels of developer to hopefully give myself, when I tone it, a variation in tone. It's really all we could do. But now with Magma, because we have this is lift and tone in one step, I can mix up a few different shades of champagne or caramel or different things in my Magma family and create a multi-tonal blonde in one step. Now, can I still adjust it at the end with the toner to sort of bring everything together? Of course, right? But is it necessary? Not technically. Not if it's formulated properly, okay? I don't want you guys to get stuck on the idea, though, that you don't have to tone after Magma. You don't, technically. But if you had to adjust it at the sink, it's not a bad thing. You know, you'll be able to do you'll be able to have some more longevity that way, I think, using a pigmented lightener. I know when I do reds, I really, really like to use the stroke 4.4 for that reason. Because even if I still have to tone it and adjust the tone a little bit at the sink, using a red pigmented lightener is definitely going to help your reds last longer. Okay, so there's a little pro tip for you. But yes, the people get excited about these, but the blonde shades, I will tell you guys, I use more in the salon than anything else. It's starting to get to be summertime. It's so hot in Alberta right now. And, you know, we just opened back up in Alberta, and all of my clients are coming in asking for painted hair and balayage and blonde, and they want something that's going to, just in case we go back into lockdown, they want something that's going to, you know, help with a little bit of longevity, is going to, you know, have a really nice grow out, but they also want it to be dimensional. And this is where Magma comes in. Okay. Like I said before, mixing ratio on Magma is 1 part powder to 1.5 parts developer. And you guys can use any of our developers with it. So you can use our Color Touch developer, which is these guys. Okay. 1 to 1.5. And this one is a 6 vol. We also make Color Touch in a 13 vol. So depending on what type of lift you want. You can also use it with all of our Wella developers. So Pastel, which is also permanent 6 vol, 10 vol, 20 vol, 30 vol, or 40 vol. As a general rule, I don't mix Lightener with anything higher than a 20 vol, but I'm in no position to tell anybody how to live. So you guys do what feels right for you, okay? And what the client, you know, calls for, right? We also have a sealer with Magma that will stabilize the pigments that are in the color. So if you want your Magma to last as long as possible, make sure that you are using that stabilizer at the end and your sealant. It's your Magma sealant. It's in a gray bottle. Okay, so those are your shades with Magma. Now I also want you guys to know that you guys can mix and match these shades anytime you want. And this is something that I like to do when I'm testing other things. Part of my job is I test a lot of different products and try out a bunch of different things to see what happens. It's such a blessing to be able to just be nerdy all the time. But sometimes I'm in my studio right now. Sometimes I will just sit on the floor of my studio with a box of wine and some Magma and, you know, mix and match shades and see what I can create. So I've created before with the pink and some of the blondes. I've created salmon colors. I've created other pinks and other things. So don't be afraid to mix and match these, okay? I want to give you guys, just so that you guys understand how to use Magma and when and where and all that, I really want to give you guys a couple of scenarios, okay? So if you guys had somebody come in to the salon and they had natural level 4 hair, okay? Just trying to put this down here. They had natural level 4 hair. So hair that looks like this. Okay. And it's virgin. They've never colored it before. It's the unicorn. You've got the unicorn, right? And they sit down and they say to you, I want a full head of bright red highlights. Instinctively, I would say to that person, you know, maybe we do a free paint. Maybe we do a balayage. I don't do a lot of like traditional highlighting anymore. I do a lot of painted stuff, but that's a matter of personal style. So if you want to do it straight up to the root, that's up to you as well. Okay. But let's say this person wants a full head of red highlights. Because it's virgin hair, we could pick, you know, a beautiful red out of the book, a 4/4 stroke 6/5 or a 6/6 stroke 4/5, something like that, in our beautiful Colliston Perfect family, and do that just with straight color, right? The other option would be to lighten and tone. Now with a lighten and tone, if we're lightening somebody's hair and then toning it with a red shade, we may see a little bit more fading than we're comfortable with. And we may have better options and better tools in our box to be able to create that for the client, right? One of those tools is Magma, right? Instead of doing a double process with a lightener and tone, why not take your stroke 4/4 and mix it up and do your stroke 4/4 and get your red highlights in one step, right? Now, where this becomes tricky, guys, is if you're working with virgin hair with Magma, okay? Like I said, if you've got the unicorn in your chair, I'm going to move on to artificially colored hair in a second, so stay with me. But if you've got the unicorn in your hair in your chair with virgin hair, and you're going to do these red highlights with Magma, great choice, right? However, you need to watch your developer, okay? If you were doing it just with a regular lightener, trying to lift it up and then you're going to tone it, you want to maybe stop your lift around level 6, okay? The reason for that is that if you bust this client's hair up to like an 8 or a 9, you really have lost that strong orange underlying pigment that's going to really anchor that red in there, okay? And this is a mistake that I see a lot of colorists make these days, is that they're blasting, they're lightening the client's hair out all the way, regardless of what shade they're doing. They're lightening it out to like a 9 or a 10 all the time and pre-toning it, making it white before they put their shade on. But with red, this is maybe a good pro tip for you guys too. With red shades or pink shades, you really want to have that orange underlying pigment to really anchor that shade in there and really make sure that it's a well-rounded color that's going to last, right? There's no reason to suck out all of that warm underlying pigment when you're going to put a warm color right on top of it, right? So we want to stop our lift at around a level 6, 7 max to be able to anchor a red, right? So if you're trying to do that with lightener, you would maybe take your Blondor Plex that we talked about, from a natural level 4, and you'd mix this maybe with a 10 vol, maybe with a 6 vol. You're just trying to lift 2, maybe 3 levels, but because you're doing it with Lightener, you don't need to be aggressive with your developers, guys. You can go slow and low. And I'll show you a swatch that gives you an example of this. I did another live this morning, so I'm going to bust out my swatches. This one here, guys, look at this. So this swatch here was lifted out with multi-blonde and 6 vol. That's it. That's all it took, okay, to get it to a nice orange, right? This one was done with Color Renew, by the way. We're not talking about that today, but that was done with Color Renew. But we just need to stop at that level to get that red in there, right? We don't need it to look like this. If I put a red toner on both of these, this one will last longer because it's got that orange pigment, right? So no reason to get crazy with your lighteners and bust up super high levels to put that when you're doing red or warm shades specifically, okay? So keep it around a 6 or a 7. So if you were doing those red highlights with Lightener, you would stop at a 6 or a 7, and you'd get there with maybe a 6 vol. Where people get crazy with Magma, though, is they don't apply the same logic. Instead of doing that lighten and tone in 2 steps, this I just realized is the wrong swatch. Use your Magma Stroke 4-4, but use it with a 6 vol. You don't need to get crazy. We don't need to use super high developers or anything like that because we're not trying to lift high, right? So when you're using Magma, essentially what I'm telling you is that you're working through your lighten and tone step all in one thought process. You have to think about it ahead of time and what developer am I going to use that's going to get me to the level that I want, that's going to create the most well-rounded shade. When it comes to using the pink, like what I'm using right now, we need to make sure that, we're keeping that developer low as well, because what is pink if not light red, right? We don't need to get super high levels to be able to anchor a pink, okay? So my lesson there is keep your developers low. Now, let's switch up the scenario. If the same client comes in, level 4 hair, but it's colored level 4, it's artificially level 4, and not box color, not like they've been COVID coloring their own hair for a year, like you've been doing it. Okay. So if this person comes in and they've got this artificial level 4, what are we going to do to give them bright red highlights? You really only have one option at that point, and it's lighten and tone. Without Magma, we're going to use our Blondor Plex and we're going to lighten it out and we're going to put a red toner on it. The problem though is that you're going to experience some fading with that, and that would be with any company, not just Wella. But as soon as you sensitize hair and you have blonde porous hair, it's harder. Like I know my hair doesn't hang on to color. That's why I'm just destined to be a blonde forever, right? So, that's a situation that you create when you're using a lightener in that way. So why not use your Magma instead, right? We can use our Stroke 4-4 to create those highlights because Magma will also highlight through artificially colored hair. It's a lightener. It's not a color that lifts well. It's a lightener with pigment, with oxy-resistant direct dyes in it. Okay? So in this is the situation we're talking about here, where we're using a pigmented lightener with our developer in order to be able to create that lifted tone in one step. And again, even if when I take these foils, these are the pink ones, not the red ones, but if you were using the red, even if you took these off and perhaps you used too high of a developer, maybe they were a bit tomatoey or just a slightly off tone, even if you have to go in at the sink and adjust the color a little bit, it's still worth it to use a pigmented lightener because you're going to get so much more longevity out of it. Okay, I hope that makes sense with the scenario of, with a virgin hair versus colored hair. Really, the lesson is use a little bit of a higher developer when you're using Magma with colored hair because it takes a little bit of an extra push to get some of that pigment out of there, but you don't need to get crazy. We don't need high developers with Magma. It's a lightener. It's not a color. Okay. And I also, again, want to reiterate that it's important that you guys use these blonde shades. They're really, really great for free painting and for multi-tonal blondes. You can mix everything in the Magma family with our Free Lights developer as well. And if you do that, then you can free paint with it. You don't have to encapsulate it in a foil. You can just paint, let it open air process, and it's a fun time. Okay. So I don't see any questions. I forgot to mention at the beginning, guys, if you guys have questions while I'm talking, throw them into the question cards at the bottom. There's a little thought bubble that has a question mark on it. You guys can throw your questions in there anytime. I'm also attempting to watch the comments. It's not easy when you're live. but I can try to answer your questions as much as I can as well. Okay. Now, I hope all of you have your Wella app. If you don't, I'm going to get you guys to go to your app store, your Play Store on your phone, type in Wella Education, and the app should be the first one that comes up. It's a really, really great tool for everything to do with Wella. Excuse me. There is instructional sheets on this app for everything that Wella makes. There's videos, there's classes you can take. You can interact with us on the app, although Instagram's probably a better choice for that one. But there's so much stuff on this app, including full instructions on Magma. So when you open up your app, this is what your homepage looks like. And then in order to find the app, you would go to your menu at the bottom, which would bring up this, like that menu. And then you're going to click Knowledge Library in the middle, at the top row in the middle. When you click Knowledge Library, this is going to come up. Okay, so this is a listing of everything that we make. You're going to go to Lighteners and color correction, and then Magma is going to be in there. Okay. The other place that you guys can come to get information on Magma, ask questions, and do the things that you need to do is you can head over to my Instagram. You guys can message me anytime on Instagram, follow me, start a chat with me. You know, I would love to interact with you guys as much as possible. Okay. So I've got a question in my question cards here. Thank you for your question. What about dark hair that needs caramel blonde highlights? This is a great question, and thank you so much for asking it. With Magma, we do have a lot of options for shades, okay, for different shades with our pigmented lighteners. Just going to take that. There we go. But we do make sort of caramel colors in Magma. There's one right here, stroke 7-3. Okay, stroke 7-3 is a warm brown gold or a caramel, right? These sorts of emotional names, when people say caramel or beige or champagne, those, we call those emotional names. They're kind of subjective, right? When I say caramel, it may mean something different to somebody else, right? So make sure when you have somebody coming in asking for caramel that you're doing a really in-depth consultation, get some visuals out, make sure you're on the same page. But if you're looking for a caramel, I really like this stroke 7-3. Okay, just make sure that you're formulating it correctly for the hair that you're working on. And if you need help with that, head over to my Instagram. I'm happy to chat. Okay. Thank you so much for your question. I wanted to say to you guys before, I'm going to take one of these foils out in a minute and I'll blow dry it so you guys can see what the pink looks like. But before I do that, I just wanted to say too that you'll notice on your swatch page that there's a few shades that have a plus next to them. 07 plus, 39 plus, 89 plus. Okay. Sometimes people say to me, oh, is it because it has a plus on it, that means it lifts better. Okay. The ones that good try though. The ones that have a plus next to them, they are meant to be used on darker, levels. They're meant to be, sorry if you guys can hear that. My dog's a snorer. They're meant to be used on darker levels, okay? Meaning that they have a higher concentration of pigmentation in order to be able to cool or neutralize as you lift. But you're not going to get, they're all the same, will have the same lifting capacity, but the ones with plus will have a stronger concentration of pigment. So if you want to use your stroke 8-9 blonde on somebody, but they have like level 4 hair, level 3 hair, even level 5 hair, and you want to give it as much pigment as possible to cool, go ahead and use the 8-9 plus instead. Okay. Yeah, so this is a little bit of sort of theory on Magma. I also wanted to say, guys, for timing, anything in our Blondor family can stay on up to 50 minutes. 50 minutes, not 15. Somebody said that to me. Oh, it's again 15 minutes. I'm like, that's not what I said. But at any rate, it's 50 minutes. Okay. Now we like to say when we're using our Blondor Plex that, you know, we believe in slow and low lift. You know, we don't put our lighteners under heat. I encourage you guys to just let them process, let it do its thing. Right. But when it comes to Magma, you can take these off. If you open up your foils at 20 minutes and you visually can see the result that you want, take it off. Like, why would you leave it on for longer? So that's kind of sort of a special little thing about Magma that I really, really love. And before I take one of these foils out, I just want to show you guys quickly too. These are from my swatches this morning as well. But I did do swatches on, see those two swatches there? This one these were both done, outside of heat, no nothing. They were just done in foils. This one is 10 vol. This one is 40 vol. Okay. So I want you guys to understand that there is no reason to be using higher developers. There is no reason to be, especially when you're using a lightener, your 10 vol and your 40 vol will lift essentially exactly the same given the same time frame. But they will, if you opened the foil and looked at them while they were lifting, they will look different while they're lifting, but the end result will be the same. Okay, so keep your developer slow and low. And just so I said it, this is a really great reason not to put your lighteners under heat. Okay, these were both done with 10 vol. This one obviously went under heat. That one did not. Maybe we see a little bit of extra lift here. Okay, fine. But is your client going to be jazzed about this? I'm probably going to go with no. Okay, so I want to show you guys one of my Magma foils. So hopefully you guys can see this. I'll adjust. Let me know in the comments or in the question cards if you guys can't see, but I want to show you guys what these look like, okay? So I'm just going to flip these up to my first foil. I'll clip these out of the way, okay? Let's get those out of there. I'm going to clip this guy out of here as well, okay? One of the cool things about Magma as well, guys, is it's sort of what you see is what you get. I have dust all over my shirt now. So in the bowl, this is what the pink Magma looks like in the bowl. It's pink, right? So it's kind of neat. It's, you know, what you see is what you get. I did spot somebody online the other day who had, I think a box in their salon got mixed up, and they put some Magma into a bowl, and they wanted to use the pink one, and it was red instead. It turns out that somebody had messed something up, and she actually had the red one. So it's kind of nice that visually what you see is what you get with Magma. So she could tell right away that it was the wrong one, which was, I think, kind of cool. Okay, so let's take this one out. This was the first one I put in. So this one's been in for about 45 minutes now, okay? So I'm going to take this one out. Now, this is, I will tell you guys, for educators, the cardinal rule of doing education live on Instagram is you don't ever do anything that you haven't demoed already. So I'm about to break that rule because I whipped these foils in and we're going to see what happens, okay? So this is the pink Magma. So I'm obviously not going to make you guys watch me shampoo this out, but I am going to spray it down and get as much of this lightener off of here as I can to show you guys that this lightener is legit. Okay, now again, I know I use Magma all the time. I know what it's going to do, but this is a pretty pure sort of experiment that I'm running here. Okay, now you guys can see all of that lightener is coming off. I'm going to spray it again, but I think you can already see that we have a pretty pink result. Now, Magma, guys, is meant to be used off scalp, okay? So Magma is highlighting or painting only, mostly because it stains like crazy. Like this towel was pink before I started because I use it on one of my Vivid clients. But if you're like me and you're particular about your towels, make sure that you have towels that are Magma only because they do, it does stain, okay? And this is the reason that we don't put it on the scalp because it'll stain like crazy, okay? So I think you guys, I've got most of the lightener off now, okay? Now, I think you guys can see that it's pink, right? Pink, lift and tone in one step. Look at that. Pretty neat, right? Okay. So all of this stuff, like I said, this lightener has gone viral on TikTok. So if you guys want to head over to TikTok and watch other people using it, all good. But it really does do what we say it's going to do. It is a really, really cool product. I'm going to actually quickly, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to grab my beautiful GHD blow dryer and I'm going to blow dry this piece for you. I know it may be a bit loud on Instagram Live, but I'm going to do it because I want you guys to see this dry. Okay, so this is my beautiful GHD blow dryer. Yay! If you haven't tried them, grab one. I'm going to grab my GHD paddle brush. Again, if you haven't tried these, they're really beautiful as well. Okay. I hope that sound is okay for you guys just for a minute. So I'm just going to pull, again guys, I didn't shampoo this. I didn't do proper removal with this. I just want to show you guys the finished result. Proper removal with Magma would be that we would take her to the sink. We would, pull all the foils out. We would rinse her and shampoo her. We would do our Magma sealant, all of those things. Obviously, I'm not going to make you guys come to the sink and watch me shampoo her out. But I just want you guys to see that there's no tricks here. There's no bells and whistles. There's no nothing. It's just a really, really great product, that has so much capability and so much opportunity to give your clients what they want and save you time in the salon. And we all know that in the salon, time is money, right? The faster you can do something, the better. But at Wella, we don't like to cut corners, right? We're not interested in, you know, doing things improperly in order to save time. But if we can develop products for you that are going to just naturally save you time in the salon, we absolutely will do that, okay? So there is my finished piece, okay? And I'm just gonna grab the piece underneath it as well so you guys can see what it'll kind of look like next to another piece of hair, right? Pretty cool. Okay, so there's your Magma Stroke 6.5 Pink Lightener, finished product on the hair. That lightener, this stuff was on for about 45 minutes. This is artificially colored hair, like I told you before. This is a mannequin that I've used for other lives. You can tell that it's been balayage before and I've colored over it and done other things with it. So this is a really good example of what the capability of this lightener actually is on natural hair and artificially colored hair. I also need to point out that I think it's pretty funny that the filter that I'm using right now on Instagram is also filtering my mannequin. So there you go. But I hope you guys got, got a little bit of insight about Magma out of that and what's possible with Magma. I encourage you guys to head down to your Modern Beauty Supply and grab some Magma. I encourage you guys to try it and, figure it out. Take me to task on it. I also encourage you guys to drop into my Instagram at chelsea.wella, give me a follow, or just send me a message and say, hey, I saw your Instagram live on Magma and I really, really wanted to, to chat more about it. I'm happy to do that. Download our Wella app. There's tons of information on there as well. Salon 11 in Edmonton. Which one? This is the Stroke 6.5 from Magma. It's the pink lightener that's viral on TikTok right now. That I just was highlighting with to show you guys, but it is available in all of these beautiful shades as well, except for this yellow one's been discontinued, but it's available in all of these as well. But the one I used is the Stroke 6.5 from Magma by Blondor. Okay. Thank you so much again to Modern Beauty Supplies for having us as usual and for all the support. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Head over to Instagram, give me a follow, interact with me. I would love to hear from you guys. And remember, if you guys learned anything today, please go back to the salon, share it with your teams. Make sure that you do that because we are not the owners of our knowledge. We're only the caretakers of it. And if we hoard it, it is wasted. Okay. Have a great day, guys. We're so excited to see you back. Yay, Alberta. I will see you down at Modern Beauty Supplies. Wash your hands and be kind to each other. We'll see you guys soon. Bye.